Did you think about your post-football career a lot when you played football? Like towards the end?
Yeah, towards the end. I think probably from Van Gaal on. Even when I was younger, I always felt I wanted to stay in the game and from a coaching point of view, but probably started thinking a bit more seriously about it when Van Gaal came into United. And I used to sit with Giggsy, and Giggsy used to analyse the opposition for Louis, and used to sit in there quite a lot with Giggsy and while he's watching the opposition and just getting into it a little bit. So yeah, I always felt then I wanted to do it.
I always remember Giggsy. I used to speak to Giggsy around that time, not about anything detail-wise, but he used to prepare an 11v11. Was it like a Thursday, 2 days before the game? Yeah, so
Giggsy would take the opposition and set them up play the way the opposition would play, and so yeah, he was good, to be fair. Did
you have this idea before you became a coach that tactically this is how I see the game, and then when the reality is when you get there with the players it becomes something different, or would you stick to it?
Yeah, I always had the idea, and you have to evolve yourself as well. You have to be aware of that and be aware of the changes. But it was really when I went into Derby County. I went in full-time manager in January. We were dead bottom and obviously fighting relegation, and what I was doing for the rest of that season was adapting to the opposition every game, and I'm thinking I can't keep doing this. You need to have some way of playing to the players knew. So we stayed up, and then in the off season I sat down. I was going through a lot of things and how I wanted my team to play. And I always remember me as a player when I was playing in midfield. I used to pull into the half space and think I knew how difficult it was for oppositions to pick me up. So then I thought, well, what if I do it with two players? If I have a player, it was normally one side to it, so I have a player in each half space and a player standing still when the ball's on the other side, and then playing a 2-3-5 really. Teams do a 3-2-5, or I was doing a 2-3-5 to keep it high in. I went in for, obviously spoke to the coaches, explained to them what I wanted from them as well, and from the first day of pre-season, that's what we done. And to be fair, the lads at Derby, and I think it was probably a little bit easier because I had so many players from the academy who never played first team football, and sometimes when you've got players who are a little bit older and they've got habits and stuff, but you're actually teaching the younger lads. What were you like as a coach when you came home? Can you switch off? I can't imagine you switch off. Yeah, I'm not bad. You're not bad? To be honest, I can switch off, and initially when I get home, and then I'll turn my phone off and I'll watch Saturday Night Takeaway, or just completely stay away from football for the rest of that night. And then obviously the next day you're back on it. But I don't think people realise actually how tiring it is for a manager. See, when Klopp said he was leaving Liverpool because he needs a rest, I was thinking, I've done this for like 2 years, whatever. The years he's done it for, it is tiring. It's the mentally tiring, it's just constant, it's constant of preparing for this game, and the minute's finished obviously even before you're preparing for the next game, and so on, so it's non-stop. Did you worry about finishing football? Did you ever think, what am I going to do the next 30, 35 years of my life? Because obviously a lot of footballers have that, all footballers have that same problem. Not really. I knew I'd never be doing what you're doing. You're doing everything. But I didn't worry. I always felt I want to stay in football. Obviously, sometimes, like now, for instance, that's not always in your hands. But I think at some capacity, I'd want to stay in the game. How long is it now since January the 1st? I remember when I left Valencia, and it was a public annihilation I got at the time. And you didn't get annihilated, but you got some criticism and attention. You Wayne Rooney, so that happens. Is that first 2 weeks almost like, how were you that first 2 weeks when you left, first few weeks? Yeah, strange, because from 9 really, when I joined Everton, till then, it was the first time I've had like a break like that, because obviously you have your summer holidays when you're a player, but you're still, and then when I left Derby, I think it was like a week later, I went in DC. When I left DC, it was 24 hours when I went into Birmingham. So it's the first time I've had off, and then you're reflecting a lot. You're thinking of things you could have done differently, or things you could maybe do better, or whatever. So you're overthinking it, and then I think to be fair. Were you beating yourself up when you think about that around that time, or just? No, not angry. I've never been someone who blames people. No. I wouldn't look at other people and blame them. I think the owners are fantastic. I think they will do really well in the future, but it's football. when you go into the job, especially now, you go in as a manager, you can get sacked. We've seen it many times, and I think of course you don't want to, but it's part of the job that can happen, and what's important is how you bounce back from that and how you apply yourself, really.
You're like probably the ultimate positive person probably that I've ever played football with, never even been with. What would you get down in the last few months when you wake? It's the first time you've woke up in your life the last few months where you've not been actually doing something.
It's strange. Don't get down over it because it's life, and now I've got the opportunity at the moment to do a lot more with my children, seeing me kids play and taking them to training and stuff like that. But yeah, it is very strange, especially like on a weekend and like what's going on. I went to the lakes last weekend, cleaning the kids, and it was so strange. Like there's football on, and it's a weird feeling.
It's weird or strange in a good way, or strange in like I'm not quite sure. I want to.
Of course, you want to be there. You want to, that's the buzz of football, the thrill of football, and whether that's a player or manager, that's what I know. That's what I love doing, and you want to be around that. And obviously, as a player, you're quite secure with that. Obviously, you retire, but as a manager, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
It is more insecure, not just insecure in terms of job, but insecure in terms of how it makes you feel. Do you think that? Did you feel I felt insecure when I was in at Valencia?
Not insecure, no. Because I always believe in myself, and I believe, that I will be a top manager. I really do believe that, and it's the reason I went out to DC again to manage. It's the reason I went in at Derby as manager.
Would you go abroad again or drop down the divisions?
Yeah, it depends obviously what that is and whatever, but yeah, of course, where I am in my managerial career, obviously I've had a setback. I might have to drop down. That's not an issue for me at all. My career as a player doesn't mean that I can walk into a top job as a manager, and I have to put the work in and to try and get there.
How do you keep your eye in as a manager when you're actually not in work? How do you sort of keep your sort of, the sessions, the tactics, the thinking, the game understanding?
It's watching football, and obviously you're trying to get to as many games as you can, and the game evolves quickly, and and a lot of teams are, especially now in the League One Championship now, if you would have said 10 years ago these teams are going to be playing the football they're playing, you would have, you'd never believe in. So I think the quality throughout the pyramid has gone better. So I think it's just obviously constantly watching, and also it depends obviously when you go back in what level you're at as well in terms of the messaging you're giving to the players.
You said you didn't want to do what I do, but you were on television for the Merseyside derby. Why wouldn't you do that? Because to be honest with you, listening to you speak, particularly when you were getting into the detail of the sessions or working on strikers or talking about the game in terms of moves that players make, well, you were good at it for a start. You speak with authority, and I think people at home, well, we know they liked it. Why would you not do that more? I know I admire if you wanted to be a coach, but why would you really?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I wouldn't do that, of course, and what I'm saying is my main priority is to get back into management, and that might never happen. You don't know. And TV, I would do TV. I would do it. I've got a few more coming up. I've always said what I don't really want to do is commit too much and then let people down. I don't like doing that. So if I'm doing it, I'd want to be all in. Where if I commit myself too much, and then in 2 months' time, for instance, I'm saying, "Oh, listen, then."
You'd feel bad about it.
You need 3, 4, 5 players in that dressing room to lead that team, and I'm still asking questions like, who are the leaders in there? Every time United can see the goal, I think heads go down too quickly.
How many balls have you got in that goal, by the way? Me and Phil must be defenders. Me and Phil were defenders that end. The kids must come out here all the time.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Come on. You come out with
it's
them?
Hard. Yeah, but the issue you have now is they're always doing something. So after school, one of them's at training, or they've got the after school clubs and stuff. So they're always doing something. So I'd, like, for instance, my lad tonight, he's gone to school this morning. He won't get in till like after 9.
Is he training at United?
Yeah, Canton, yeah. So I was there.
Did you go and watch?
Yeah, I was there Tuesday. I was there yesterday. I'm there again tonight. They played City in the semi-final on Tuesday. Beat them 2-1. So it's buzzing. He scored that header.
Did it?
Yeah.
Just something. I've only seen the little clips of him on sort of like social media and stuff. He has got your. He's got your sort of.
Yeah, he's my physique and
his style.
He'll be taller than me, and he's a goal scorer. He's in the box. He sniffs chances out, and that's his game. So he's doing okay.
Is he? I mean, obviously you can't remember yourself, but is he at that sort of level where you think he's got a chance, or is it too early?
Yeah, I think it's too early. I think you never know. I think he's showing potential and good signs. So yeah, he's obviously he'd be in United now for the next 2 years, and then that's when they make decisions on you. So yeah, have to just wait and see.
Are you tough on him? Are you tough on all the kids?
Not really. No. I asked them questions. So after training or games, I'll ask them what they think and ask them questions and just try and give them a little bit of guidance. Really, like his goal against City on Tuesday. As a forward, you get told to run across the front post, and so we kept doing it. So I said, when you need to be aware of who's in the penalty area. If you're on your own, you need to make a decision whether you go front or back. Yeah. So he was on his own and he pulled to the back post and the ball come and he scores a header. So just little bits. Little things like that, yeah.
And is it hard to watch him sometimes in thinking that, like, you know, you're sort of suffering with him, you're obviously enjoying it if he's doing well?
No, I enjoy watching him, and me 10-year-old as well. He's at United. And
they're both at United?
Yeah, so I enjoy watching the games, and there was a great game in the quarterfinals to beat Liverpool 3-2. They went 2-0 down, United, and Kai scored to get back into it. Then they went to 2-2. Then a player sent off. The other player sent off at 2-0.
Right.
And then Kai got sent.
Liverpool did, United?
No, United. And then Kai got sent off.
What for?
Tackle. Straight red, yeah. So, but they won the game 3-2.
Is he aggressive?
Yeah, he's aggressive. Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
So yeah, he's doing well. Right.
Do you know, when I finished playing football, do you think there's like a thing about 45, 50-year-old men, 40-year-old men who have kids? They think, or even like maybe older people think that young people aren't as tough nowadays as we were. But I disagree with that. I don't know what you think on it. So when you think of sort of like, you know, your kids now or young players now, what do you think about that?
I think it's changed, and there's different rules obviously in the game now, and it's definitely not, you know, what it was 20 years ago and some of the tackles you'd see, and I don't think you're getting that, and the game's played differently, and you go and watch the kids now, and you know, every time the goalkeeper's playing out from the back and they're playing through the lines and stuff, and they're carrying on to continue to do it. So I think that's where the game's changed and evolved, if you like. So yeah, it's definitely not as physical as it was, but in terms of tackling and stuff like that. But I think the kids now, you look at them, the bigger, some of the sizes, some of the kids, they're huge.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you just showed me in your house quickly before we'd started doing this, and you said there's a boxing ring, and obviously you grew up and you obviously were boxing, and you said the kids wanted to fight. So you just get in there, didn't you? Did they fight each other?
Yeah, they'll fight each other, yeah. They start off messing, and then it turns into...
And do you monitor? Are you like there? So I can imagine.
Yeah, you obviously stop them, but no, I think boxing...
with gloves on and
so I think boxing's a great sport for discipline as well. So yeah, and like that, and the kids will go in, they'll put the gloves on and they'll spar and.
Do they go to a boxing club as well, or is it just to do that?
No, they just do it here. So.
And you just want them to get tougher and more resilient, more.
No, they love it. They love boxing. Yeah, they love watching it, doing it. They've all got their own shorts and to get in the ring and spar. Yeah.
I think me and Phil might have to come round. Me and Phil come round, start sparring. We missed our youth. We'd have been absolute. We'd been better off, I think, in that boxing. But that mesmerises me. But I like it.
You've got girls as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I know, obviously.
But the idea of toughening them up. We've actually got some of our best friends, and their son boxes, and they take it, and I think it's a really good thing to. And obviously, as a youngster, I never boxed, You know,
I think it's brilliant. I've just been to Sheffield yesterday. I went to Sheffield to the boxing gym there and just watching them train. So they went out in the morning for a run, then they come in and doing the pad work, bag work, then they have the food, have a sleep, then in the afternoon sparring. It's just to see them and the focus in them. It's unbelievable.
Just coming on to you as a football player, what was your best quality as a football player?
I don't know. I'd probably say mentality. I think mentality as a player. Obviously, I could score goals and create goals and whatever. I like to think I always worked hard as I could on the pitch, but I always felt I had a strong mentality. I think that was, and obviously going from Everton to Man United, you need that. You wouldn't survive if you didn't have that.
But just this idea, obviously, everyone's searching for a strong mentality. Do you believe you were born with that, or do you believe it was developed as you were sort of, if you like, coming sort of
I think there's
school?
different elements. I think you can obviously develop it, and there's a lot of sports psychologists out there now as well, and obviously a lot more than when we were growing up. But I definitely do think where you're from, the area you grew up in, helps massively. And obviously, like my kids growing up here, and completely different to where I grew up. So it's how do you have that balance, and how do you try and get that what I grew up in into your kids. So I definitely think where you grew up.
You look at the mentality of a team, and I think about the current United team, and I look at them, and it's not actually a criticism, this, in the sense of, I think they're struggling, some of them, sort of mentally, in terms of mentality-wise. And they're obviously talented players. They've done, you imagine the thousands of hours that they've trained to get to where they are, to be at United, so they're right at the top of the game. How do they become more resilient now as a team, when you think the criticism, obviously, that they get, not just from us on television, but from the fans, obviously, with the way in which they're playing, the results are bad, you know, the difficulties. How would you grow a mentality when you've got a team like that that's struggling mentally?
Well, I think first of all, you need 3, 4, 5 players in that dressing room to do that, to lead that team. And that's the one thing I'd say, I think, with Man United now is, I look at the team and I'm still, like, I obviously don't know, I know a few of the players, but some of the players, and you're still asking questions like, who is the leader? And obviously Bruno's the captain of the team, but who are the leaders in there? Who's, you know, and I said this a few weeks ago with Marcus, when Marcus is getting stick and for body language and whatever. I think he's always been like that. I don't think he's ever been a big talker on the pitch. I don't think.
He was quiet with England when he first came in with us.
So I think he's always been like that. I think when he's going through a tough moment, or you know, you want him to work a little bit harder, maybe. I think that's where some of the more senior players in there have got to demand that from him, and that's the one thing I'd say, which I don't see him. Every time, you know, United concede a goal, I think heads go down too quickly, and you almost think there's no way they're getting back in the game. The gaffer did his press conference when I said I wanted to leave.
What goal did you that day?
I'm sure the gaffers had a word with him before training. There's a few people watching him, but 4 or 5
sponsors.
It was Rene's wife and kids.
When you first came into the Everton team, who would be the people that you would sort of like, would pull you in line and would have, you know, do you have any examples of when you were?
Moisey was really good for me, and he actually sued me actually when I left the club, because I left.
Is that good for you?
No, but I hammered him when I left Moisey for. At the time, how I felt.
What did you say at the time? Do you feel disappointed? Do you feel regretful that you said those things about him?
Yeah, I spoke to him a few years after I left. I called him up and apologised, because the older you get, and you realise why he was doing things. And
what did you say at the time?
I felt like he was singling me out, which.
Whilst you were at the club, or when you left?
While I was at the club, and he was treating me a little bit different to the other players.
In what way?
Just in different ways. I don't want to go into it now, but just in different ways he was treating me. One of them was, you know, he had me running around the local park by myself with the physio, and I think he felt because it was new to him as well, having a player who was getting all these headlines, and so for him to figure out, he was a young manager at the time as well.
Yeah.
So I know it was new to him as well. So, but when I look back, I think he was really good for me, and because he was always on me, constantly on me,
Was he?
even as a young lad.
What about your work ethic or your game?
Just
or?
everything, yeah, and I think he was just more to try not to, which I never would have anyway, try not to let me think I was better than what I was, and stuff like that. So and I was hard work.
In your early days?
Yeah, like he'd come in and in the indoor gym, I was setting me and Tom Scravison, setting big rockets off one end of the gym to the other, had each other, and Moisey walked in.
You mean fireworks?
Yeah. Moisey's walked in and you could see him like, what is going on? I was 16. Whatever, so...
Well, like, just... Yeah.
You'd like them and you'd hold them, and then going all over the gym was obviously a little bit bigger than this pitch probably, and it's going all over the place.
He had a right, to be fair, to give you a clip.
Yeah, no, he did. So, but yeah, no, and then obviously Stubbsy and Duncan, and I was really close to them too. And it was weird really, because obviously Duncan grew up loving Duncan, and I ended up buying a house, my first house I bought. It was on the same road as Duncan and Stubbsy where they lived. So, like Champions League games, there'd be us three watching. I was 16, 17, and...
But you wouldn't be... You were fearless as a young... I just remember the word. That is the word that describes you. You wouldn't think twice. I'd be nervous, mate, about going round to a senior player's house. You wouldn't bother about that at all, would you?
Oh, no.
You'd probably take your shoes off and put your feet over.
No, that didn't bother me. Yeah. It was... Obviously, I knew I was with these two icons of mine, really, when I was growing up, and it was a bit surreal that I'm sat there with them, but...
Well, they invite you around, just watch Champions League games?
You'd be all the time, yeah. Go around and play cards, and it's weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, that.
So when you look back, and I think, like, Duncan and Stubbsy at the time were probably 33, 34 maybe. I was 16, 17, so it was mad, but they were great. Duncan was amazing, and when my nan passed away, when I went back to Everton, Duncan's come, obviously he knows all my family Evertonians, and he walks in to the funeral, and it's like everyone was so happy to see him and pay his respects.
Well, it's great that. I mean, obviously he's a mentor to you, but was he hard with you if he needed to be? Would he be someone that would give you a telling off, or would he even be more coaching you, mentoring you?
Duncan?
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we'd argue, we'd full on arguments with each other as well. And again, that's when I was on the pitch, I wanted to win that much that you'd end up boiling over as well at times. So
I forget how much I say arguing. Arguing sounds like you were falling out with people. You never fell out with anybody, to be fair. But you were constantly challenging people. I always remember, like with Rio, you'd be like, if the defenders weren't pushing up the pitch, or if you'd be on at each other all the time, you and Rio, wouldn't you? Or you and Vida, or you and Patrice, or... Yeah,
there's times it goes too far as well, and then I think when you look back, and obviously you'll know some of the stuff I've said to coaches on the training pitch, it's just like, looking back, and obviously being on that side now, you think, you hope a player doesn't...
Remember the worst one? Remember the one where you think, oh, I was out of line there?
There was a few.
I don't remember that many. No,
there was a few bad ones. There was one with Rooney, which was bad, and I felt terrible after, because I've gone.
Was it a bad decision he gave, or like a refereeing decision?
Yeah.
That was the one with you. I remember. Like, if there's a Friday game.
I've gone for him big time, and the manager pulled me into his office after the session, and there was a few people watching and training, like about 4 or 5
sponsors.
It was Rooney's wife and kids. And I had no idea, and I felt so bad.
He was a great coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, I felt so bad.
But you know something? I actually thought this on the way here today. I thought, your mentality, the only time I've ever seen your mentality, I only played with Brian Robson for 2 years, but he was like that in training. Roy Keane was like that, and you were like that. I mean, I'd whinge if I got a decision against me, but for you, Roy Keane, Brian Robson, it was like you took it, like decisions in the Friday game, which were competitive, weren't they? They were really competitive.
Yeah.
You'd be fuming.
Oh, it was horrible. You wanted to win them games, and some of the tackles.
Yeah, horrific.
Which went in.
You used to stop the game, yeah?
Yeah, you'd stop.
You'd walk us in.
Go in, yeah. Scholes, he put me out for 8 weeks, I think, the day before the game.
What, just?
It was the day the gaffer did his press conference when I said I wanted to leave.
Oh, Scholes did you that day?
So I'm sure the gaffers had a word with him before training.
I don't think he would, you know.
No, nobody must have done that. But
Didn't you that day and put it out for 8 weeks?
yeah, so that's, and then obviously when the manager obviously knew I weren't fit to play, and then he went and done the
Press conference.
Yeah.
Just, it's something I don't know if you can describe, but it's something I can't describe, the intensity of every day and being in, not just in the team that you were in, but before that as well. Every day in training was a fight and was a battle to survive, to get, to play, to...
And I think that's where it's changed now. Obviously from a sports science point of view as well, there's a lot more to look at and to analyse and stuff like that. But sometimes actually being there and competing, whether you're going a bit too far from a physical point of view, sometimes that gets overlooked now, and what that brings to you as a player, as a teammate, is more than, you know, a number which you get given and say, oh, you've run this much, you need to go in and stuff like that. So, and the amount of times, you know, you'd have your sports scientists telling you the players can't stay out and do finishing because they've done this much this week and that. Like,
I heard you say that. I thought it was really interesting. You said that on the television a couple of weeks ago about how you practice your finishing. You used to stay out. I mean, you used to stay out for.
I used to stay out with Eric Steele a lot and grab a goalkeeper, and used to do it from like 8 to 12 yards, practicing finishing. And with Eric, and we'd do like 5 balls, rest, another 5 balls. So it was constant. So
under a bit of pressure.
So and you get tired, and so learning how to finish when you're fatigued.
Yeah.
Used to do that almost every, and then I'd stay out with the keepers with Steely as well and mess around the goal.
You always used to run the goal, didn't you? Put the gloves on.
I remember one time I was trying to show Edwin how to kick the ball out of his hands. He must be looking at me thinking. So Steely's crossing it out, coming out, goalie gloves on, catching it, and showing Edwin how to kick it. He must be looking at me thinking, what are you doing? The last 20 minutes was so strange. I think we showed ourselves as very naive.
Did you worry about finishing football? You know, what am I going to do the next 30, 35 years of my life? I want to go to England and I want to go to the Iceland game because I don't think about my career that much at all, to be honest with you. I don't think about my coaching career that much at all. I can sometimes pick up the lessons from it. But the Iceland game is the one thing that sometimes I think, mainly for Roy, and obviously the country as well, but for Roy, thinking about sort of that last game and how we were.
That was so, after the game was so strange. Because I remember obviously Roy come in and basically said he's gone, and then he said he's not doing any pressing. And I remember coming up to you and saying, guys, he has to do the press. He
went out.
They've got to kill him. And then eventually he done it. But yeah, that game was, that was it's a low moment, obviously.
Have you ever been in a game? I've never been part of a game like that as an active sort of member of a team or have you ever felt like that on a pitch? Or
it was strange. The last 20 minutes was so strange because I was a bit deeper in midfield, and I think we showed ourselves as a young team and we were very naive the last 20 minutes. And how many times have we said, keep moving the ball side to side, crossing the box, you'll pick up second balls, you'll get your chance, you'll wear them down, and we were committing players forward too quickly, taking shots from stupid angles, distances, and I'm really panicked and played into their hands. They had the 2 banks of 4 or 5 or whatever at the time, and I never felt we were going to score in that last 20 minutes, and you could feel the game just going away from them.
The atmosphere was weird in the stadium even, wasn't it? It was a strange just feeling in the stadium.
Yeah, and the fact that obviously you're expected to beat Iceland, and because I actually think in that tournament, I thought in the games before that we played really well, and some of the best football we played for years. And with England, I felt, and then that game it was weird. It was like
it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was one-off, and that's the weird part. You sat in that dressing room and you're thinking, I'm home tomorrow.
Do you remember the throw-in?
Yeah, a big threat. I was the centre half coming up. Yeah.
Do you want to go there?
that was fine. Obviously, I was meant to block him, and I've lost him. Yeah.
The first part of the game we started well, What was your view of what happened in that sort of like next 10, 15 minutes when it sort of slipped away from us? It went quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, don't know really. Because I scored the penalty, didn't I, early on, and I thought we had control, and I think they got a little bit of momentum. They did get a few throw-ins and set pieces and stuff like that, and then caused a couple of problems, and then they get the equaliser and then go 2-1 up, and all of a sudden you're chasing the game, and I think they were probably the worst team to go behind to in the tournament. A bit like Greece won Euro 2004. They got in front, and it was so difficult to break them down.
It's interesting, I think you said it out there that your best tournament was your first one. My best tournament was my first one, Euro 96, and then it never got as good after that. Do you feel like I just feel ultimately disappointed that we could never deliver with England and win a trophy or just get to a final and do what the current team are doing. Do you feel frustrated, or do you think, no, we just weren't good enough?
Yeah, because when you look at the players we had in that squad, it was incredible. Some of the best players to play the game. And to not go further than what we did is disappointing. And so I think if you go back now, if you put that team in today's game, I think we go a lot further. I think we were quite basic in how we set up, I felt.
Yeah, and just think about the current team. I only talked about a few players that are currently playing for England and how good you think they are or what you think they need to do to get to the point whereby they can be regarded as the best players. I'll start with Jude Bellingham. Where are you at with Jude Bellingham? And how good a player?
I played against Jude when I think he was 16. I was at Derby, he was at Birmingham, and he actually man-marked me.
Really?
In the game, yeah. I was playing deep in midfield, and I was controlling games, and he couldn't man-mark me, so I kept dragging him out wide, and he didn't like it. And what I loved about him, he going for a tackle, he'd leave it on me, and a bit like I would have done it. I remember after the game saying he's going to go far, and obviously I'd never expected what he's done now. And I think what you see with Jude, you see a player who wants it, and he's got a mentality, and he wants to play every minute of every game. And I think a great example to any young player or older player is if you watch the Man City Real Madrid game at the Etihad, where City had full control of the game, and you watched how hard he worked for the 120 minutes. It was incredible. The work rate he put into that game was incredible. And then I always believe if you put that work in, you get rewards. And I think his mentality, for me, he's a future England captain for sure.
Who's England's most important current player? Who's the one player that they couldn't lose?
For me, you look at Harry Kane, it's probably Kane or Pickford.
Pickford?
I think Jordan's really important to England, and probably because Gareth hasn't rotated him in friendly games as much as well. So we've yet to see what the other keepers behind Jordan can do.
Do you rate Jordan? I think I got him wrong, because I think when I first saw him for England, I was worried about him for Everton. But the last 3-4 years, to be honest with you,
I played with him at Everton, didn't I? And then obviously I was in the England squad when he first got in the squad, and I think because the way he is, people will judge him because he's a bit livelier, and some of the stuff he does in the goal, a bit like Joe Hart was similar. At Ramsdale is similar as well. They're a bit fidgety, and if you like, and it doesn't fill you with that confidence. But I think because you're used to seeing him now, but you know he performs with that, I think it'd be a big concern if he was to get injured.
And Harry Kane, just talk to us about Harry Kane and what you've obviously played with him.
I think he's incredible. I think the goals he scored, assists. Now he's added over the last few years as well. For me, I'd probably say he's England's greatest ever player. England's greatest ever player? Yeah.
That's some statement from you.
I believe that. I think, and again, when you're talking about Jude before with his work rate, with Harry, there's never an issue. You see that he's ultra professional and never misses a game. Obviously, he's had a couple of injuries, and that's a common theme you'll see with all of these players, with Bellingham, with Harry Kane, Foden. Obviously, sometimes Pep leaves him out, but I assume, and I put money on it, they'd never miss a training session, never miss a game.
I want to talk about the left wing. Obviously, right wing's Bukayo Saka, centre forward's Harry Kane, but the left wing, you've got Anthony Gordon, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, maybe Maddison could play out there. Where do you start with that? You've got 4 or 5 fantastic players. Which one do you go with and why?
I don't know, you see, I think it depends on the game as well, because I want to see Foden most central. I think it's his best position.
So you want to see Foden off the front, basically?
Central, but then you've got Bellingham there as well. That's the headache Southgate's going to have, and you know, and I suppose he could go with the two of them as two number 10s.
In front of Declan Rice?
In front, and then the 3 in midfield behind, but then you're relying on your full-backs to be the ones to give you the whip, but...
Oh, you mean the 2 number 10s that be behind Harry Kane, you mean?
Yeah, but then Foden has to play.
I agree with that.
I think he has to play.
What about Anthony Gordon? Did you see bits of the interview with him?
So he speaks well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Who plays? So Foden definitely plays. So it would be him on the left if he was playing more solid.
And I think that's, again, it's a strength, and I think the last 2 tournaments, even just giving the players a little rest, even if it's for 15 minutes, can make a big difference, because we've got the strength and the quality in the squad. I think in previous tournaments we've tended to go with that. I think the last tournament, Harry was chasing the goal record, and I think if that weren't there, he maybe might be a little bit easier to bring him off when the game's done or whatever, and keep him a little bit fresher. But I would like to see us manage that a little bit better. But we've got some players. Foden, for me, Foden has to play. Saka as well, some players in there.
I think Saka has to play on the right. I think Saka will definitely play on the right, I would think. Bellingham will definitely play. I agree with you, Foden has to play. I said in the last World Cup that if Phil Foden can't start for England, we've got a real problem. He's that good, isn't he?
Yeah, he has to play, and you look at him and Jude, and obviously Jude's getting, I don't know Phil is, but Jude's getting so many positive headlines, and it's almost like Foden's going under the radar a little bit from it, where I think Foden scored more goals and more assists than what Bellingham's got this season, which I think Foden has to play, he has to.
Where are you at with Jack Grealish? When I watch Jack Grealish, I think of someone who's instinctive, beats men at will. But then when I watch him for City now, he's become quite predictable out on that left. Do you agree with that? Do you think he's had his...
Yeah, I think...
We can't have got Pep, can we? But this idea of his sort of like creativity has been stifled a little bit.
But I think what he does do, he draws players to him, doesn't he? And creates a bit of space for other players. And he holds onto the ball, and players have a little bite at him, and then all of a sudden these little pockets open up. When teams, obviously in City, is sitting back, and so there's not a lot of space there for them.
Going to the most important position on the pitch, right back. You've got obviously Kyle Walker, who you would think is probably definitely going to play there. What would you do with Trent Alexander-Arnold, this like sensation of a talent, never seen anything like it in terms of play? Would you move him into midfield alongside? You wouldn't.
No.
Because he's been told, we interviewed him a few weeks ago for the overlap, and he's been told by Gareth that I think that's where his position will be for England if he's going to play now. And that he would go in there alongside Declan Rice and obviously maybe Bellingham if Foden played wide.
I've watched Trent play there a few times in midfield, and I think you lose a lot of his quality from football. I think his delivery is incredible, and of course he picks passes from midfield, etc. But I think he's got to try and fight it out. I know Kyle's the best right back in the world at the minute, but I think midfield is such an important position.
Who else would you play there? I mean, obviously, let's pretend that he doesn't play Foden and Bellingham in there because he wants a bit more solid.
I'd play Mainu before Trent in midfield.
You would?
Yeah, 100%. I'd play... Who else have we got?
We're struggling in there.
Yeah, there's not many, is there?
And I actually think Declan Rice's best position is when he plays,
when he goes forward
ahead. So you definitely say to Trent, stay at right back and fight.
I think, yeah, and it's not that he's not good in it. I think, you know, you see it against Everton the other week, and you see it in Gabe Silver's passes. He's hitting us incredible, and it's probably only Bex who's been similar to happening when Bex went central. But I think to play in the field, that discipline you need from a defensive point of view, and especially when you come up against the bigger teams, I think you get found a bit.
You're going over for the summer, aren't you?
Yeah.
How far do you think England can go?
Oh, they can win it.
Do you think they can win it?
Yeah.
Have they got the defensive strength to win it?
I think they can win it. I think I think other countries are starting to fear England a little bit, where I think before it was, yeah, they're a good team, but there was never that fear. I think with England now there's a fear, and as we spoke about the players, England have got a little bit short of midfield. Still, well, I'm assuming it'd be Maguire and Stones who'll play centre half, both experienced in tournaments now as well. So They can win. I think it would be tough, but they can certainly win it. You need a bit of luck as well, of course, but there's no reason why they can't.
That's a pretty good place to finish. England winning the tournament. I'll see you in Berlin.